Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for really sort of embracing this shift and this pivot to engage with all of the solution partners of ConnectWise for this year's IT Nation Explore. We also applaud ConnectWise for moving so swiftly and quickly to give us all such a great platform to continue the engagement. Today, we're super excited to share with you something very different and new that we've brought to the table in the StorageCraft family, as well as some other sort of updates on our solutions and our platform. I'm Janine Edwards, and I'm joined by our Vice President of Worldwide Sales Engineers, Matt Ermston. Matt, thanks so much for joining me for this discussion. We really appreciate having you. And yeah, we're going to get right into it. So what we're going to do today is we are going to do a few things. And you can pop to the agenda slide, Matt, so we can set the stage for everybody. We're going to, if you are familiar, if you're not familiar with StorageCraft, first thing we're going to do is give you a quick level set on some of what we've been up to, some of the things we've been up to as far as our innovation over the past year and a half. We're going to talk a little bit about what's going on in the typical BDR landscape. And then we're going to discuss some of the things we felt needed to be brought to the table to really bring some differentiation around the idea of a backup appliance. And we're going to talk specifically about what we feel like that differentiation means, and that differentiation means to us is true flexibility. So Matt's going to get into that, and then we're going to talk about how we can continue the conversation during this virtual event, as well as after the event. If at any given time during the presentation you want to learn more about StorageCraft, you just go to that short link. Just go back for me one more time, Matt. That short link, which is storagecraft.com/ITN Explore. storagecraft.com/ITN Explore. Write that down. That way you can tell us that you'd like to hear more about the things that we're talking about. But most importantly, the most exciting thing that you guys like to hear about during these events is prizes, right? So we wanted to make sure that you knew that we were giving away a super cool, what we're calling a plug and play pack, a plug and play prize pack. You'll understand that nomenclature as we move through this breakout. That includes a $750 value of things that will help you sort of continue getting through the quarantine, if you will. So you'll get, you have the opportunity to win a Beats noise canceling headphones, Apple AirPods Pro, as well as a Bose Micro Bluetooth speaker. That's a $750 value that you can be registered to win by joining our booth. So now that that exciting piece of the puzzle is over, let's get into our discussion. So for those of you who may be familiar with StorageCraft or aren't familiar with StorageCraft, we wanted to give you a quick level set of what StorageCraft has been up to, right? So we've been bringing the partner community world-class data protection solutions for almost 2 decades, since 2003. We consider ourselves and are considered to be a pioneer in the data protection innovation arena. Some of us would think of us as the king of the protection of the physical machine. We're really first out of the gate with some really interesting technology around snapshotting, and we've been known for our unparalleled recovery. The most important thing I think that's significant for us is our consistent commitment to delivering the most reliable and comprehensive backup and disaster recovery protection solutions out there. And we do that 100% through our channel partners. About a year and a half ago, we received a pretty significant investment in technology. We've been heads down during that time, innovating to continue to deliver on the commitment that we have to our partners and bring innovation that helps you solve business challenges for your customers while driving profitability for your business. So we feel like that's our job as your technology partner. So we're going to look at some of that, the fruits of that labor today, that innovation labor today, and we are really excited about what we've done here, right? So our mission in our sort of journey around innovation was to create a true business continuity platform that really allowed partners this whole set of solution that spanned the entire category. One of the biggest reasons we want to do that is to empower standardization in this particular industry. We know standardization in this category. We know standardization is super important for you on the short list of driving operational maturity into your service desk, but it was typically super hard to do in this category from your perception, right? So that was something we really wanted to do. We wanted to open up the market for you guys and allow you to have one vendor that you could go to that was that offered the right fit solution for your customer of today or tomorrow, and also fit with how you were driving profitability. And today we're going to focus on the sort of lower left-hand portion of our quadrant, right? You have the customer size on the left, the primary business model across the bottom, and then all of the solutions in their sort of swim lanes based on who you are and who you sell to. Today we're going to spend most of our time on the bottom left and a little bit further up with two solutions we're super excited to talk about: ShadowSafe and OneSafe Solo. So when we think about those two products, and you can pop to the next slide, those two products are essentially very dependent on one another if you're talking about Solo, and then also sold on its own merits, with ShadowSafe being our software solution. So ShadowSafe is our next generation data protection solution for an on-premises and cloud fail-safe recovery with integrated disaster recovery as a service. OneSafe Solo, and ShadowSafe happens to be the software component that powers OneSafe Solo. And OneSafe Solo is our plug-and-play compact backup appliance that manages data protection from anywhere at any time. And we're very excited to talk specifically about that as we head into this discussion, because we've really approached it very, very, very differently, right? So when we thought about what we wanted to do with entering, if you will, the appliance market, if you're familiar with us, you know that we've been primarily software driven for many years, and a lot of the folks that have appliance-based protection solutions worked with us to be the powerful software within their solutions. Well, we wanted to take a look and say, how can we do this differently? And Matt's going to go into that really detailed. But what we want to make sure that you understand is we approach this as business not as usual, right? Not business as usual. We really wanted to create something differentiated. And that's a couple of different cornerstones of that are what we call plug and protect capability, right? And then the ability for flexibility, right? So you can really pull this out of the box. You can actually send it to your customer. Matt's going to talk about that. Have them fill out a service ticket to ConnectWise to say, hey, I've received this. And then you can really work with them to essentially have them plug it in, connect to the internet, and then really be able to start managing their protection right there, right then, immediately. And then additionally, there's huge extensibility built around the capabilities. And we're very excited about that piece of the puzzle. Unprecedented scale elasticity and a huge standardization opportunity, right? So again, one anecdote I really love to talk about is when you talk about standardization, there's sort of this paradox specifically in business continuity. People know that it's important to have technology standards in their managed offering, but in this category, they often tell us it's hard to do, right? And so we wanted to change that perception. One of the stats I love to kind of throw out there, and it's very interesting to me, is 3 out of 4 MSPs use 2 or more data protection solutions in their managed offering, which is the opposite of standardization. So we felt like this was an opportunity to say, let's fill this piece of the puzzle with something that's really different, and let's allow you to make money while doing so and bring some flexibility to both your managed offering and your customers. So with that, I'm going to throw it over to Matt. Thanks a lot, Matt. And we appreciate you again being here to talk about this awesome product.
My pleasure, and always look forward to being able to hop on and have these discussions. I'm excited about the new solutions that we have been putting out. You know, Janine mentioned that we had a hefty investment and have been heads down, and I'm excited about the work that has been coming out of our product management and dev team. And when we started looking at, you know, what does it mean from a StorageCraft perspective to really go out and to want to be able to innovate and provide solutions, and we have been known, kind of our reputation in the industry has to kind of be out in front of that technology. You know, when we introduced originally, you know, back 13 years ago, image-based backups and moving to disk-based and leveraging from our virtual boot perspective and the technologies that we were providing. And we wanted to continue kind of on that legacy of being innovative and kind of jumping out in front of leapfrogging some of the solutions that you see in the industry. And I really feel like from a PM perspective, product management perspective, from development, I think these guys have done a really good job of jumping out in front of some of the competition and some of the other solutions that you are seeing in the market today. I want to talk about, you know, the process that we went through with regards to these solutions, specifically ShadowSafe. And, you know, we're going to be a little heavy on the discussion around Solo. And as Janine mentioned, those two solutions really are intertwined. The team that has done a great job of creating a solution that you could take into an environment where you may be protecting 5,000 machines and leveraging that same technology and allowing to deploy those same features, that same feature set in an environment that maybe only has 2 physical machines. But being able to do that and allow for that scale and do it in such a way that we, from a development standpoint and releasing new features, can be very efficient in that. And so let me just talk a little bit about the process that we went through. We have spent quite a bit of time having conversations with our partners. A lot of you maybe who are viewing this now were a part of that discussion and really what the needs are. We didn't want to just create, another wheel out there. We wanted to kind of bring something new and knew that it was going to be able to allow you as our customer to really leverage that technology to be more efficient and to help grow your business. And so we did a lengthy research project and having conversations with our partners and looking at the technologies that are available to us as we started this process. And there are really 3 main things that kind of became a common theme as a part of those discussions. You can see on this slide provisioning and the lock-in limitations and the required high touch of a lot of the solutions that are out there today. And when we talk about provisioning, the first thing that we heard that was loud and clear is that from a partner perspective, in your efforts, you're spending a lot of time and effort trying to really understand the needs of that customer and provisioning and making sure that you're providing the right solution up front from day one from a provisioning perspective to make sure that you're providing the necessary storage and the number of licenses that you might need, et cetera, et cetera. And we wanted to make sure that we kind of tackled that provisioning problem in such a way that you didn't have to spend a lot of time trying to make decisions on behalf of your customer as to what that solution looked like. You could start with a single machine and allow that just to scale and grow as that customer grew as well. And so we wanted to tackle the challenges that come from making sure that we're sizing these solutions correctly, that we're not locking you into, the type of storage that you're using and not tying you to a specific device, as well as making sure that you're able to really optimize the return on your investment from a provisioning perspective. As far as the lock-in limitation goes, we heard from a lot of partners that a lot of the off-the-shelf solutions that are out there today are somewhat constraining in that you're locked into those ecosystems that solution provides, and we're not able to utilize a lot of that resource that you already have on site. In a lot of cases, especially when we're talking about storage as a backup target, a lot of times you have storage available on site. And as we go out and look at some of the solutions that are out there today from a BDR perspective, you're forced to purchase, in a lot of cases, additional storage that you may not need. You may have that storage already available locally and in your customer environment. And so we wanted to make sure that as a part of this solution development that we allowed you to leverage those resources that you already have on site, as well as not forcing you into replicating into not necessarily our data center, but allowing you to leverage your own data centers. In a lot of cases, the partners that we work with have their own data centers, and a part of their offering is to actually host those backups or to replicate those backups to their own data centers. In a lot of cases, with the solutions that are available in the market today, you're locked into replicating to that vendor's cloud, and we want to be able to provide the ability to replicate and leverage your own resources in your own data centers. And then the high touch that's required in a lot of cases, particularly when we're talking about BDR devices, appliances that are out there today. We talk to a lot of partners who find themselves in a situation where they purchase that first BDR for a customer, and as that customer grows, it's required that they purchase an additional BDR and then another BDR. Now we're managing 3 different appliances, and we wanted to really focus on avoiding that situation, because that just becomes, from a provisioning process, from a management process overall with that customer, as they grow and that infrastructure grows and adding additional BDRs, now the management of those can become very time consuming. It's not allowing you to really maximize your profitability with that customer. So identifying a lot of these challenges and the pain that's associated with the current solutions that are available, we really wanted to focus on those and make sure that as we released our solution to the market, that first and foremost, we were overcoming a lot of those challenges that you are seeing and that we've had with in those conversations with our partners. When you look at Solo, again, it was all about the flexibility. We have been known for years and years as the backup vendor that is very flexible, not just from the solutions that we're offering, but the flexibility in your storage targets, the flexibility, the type of environments that you have, and the type of environments that we're backing up, where you'll be able to replicate that data to. We've always had this notion of providing you with the tools that you need to accomplish what it is that you want to do, and not putting any limitation on how you're using those tools to accomplish what you want to do with your customers and with your solution offerings. So when you look at this slide, you can see the StorageCraft Solo appliance there in the middle. Above the type of environments that we actually protect, Hyper-V, vCenter, ESXi, physical devices. Below that, you'll see the actual backup targets, target types that we support. So direct to cloud offering, backing up to NAS, internal drives, USB devices, again, providing you the flexibility to decide how you want to create that solution custom for your customer. You might have a customer that's a small shop that you may not require a local backup, and you want to just leverage our direct to cloud. And so using Solo, you can replicate that data directly to our cloud or replicate that off to your data center, as well as the option of following that standard 3-2-1 rule of backup and making sure that you have a local backup as well. Again, if you already have storage available to you at that customer site, you can back up to NAS devices, internal drives, USB drives, and so on. To the left of your screen there, you see from a management perspective, OneSystem. This is a cloud-hosted, StorageCraft-hosted management console that you would be leveraging with Solo. There is not a requirement for you to deploy any additional software from a management perspective. This is all hosted by StorageCraft. As a partner, you would gain access to that hosted OneSystem environment where you would be managing all of those Solo devices that you would deploy across your customer base. So again, cutting back on the amount of work required on your part to be able to manage the solution. All of that would be, again, managed by StorageCraft, hosted by StorageCraft, which allows us to do a lot of the updating of the solution on your behalf as opposed to requiring you to do that. And then, of course, the third part of the overall solution is our cloud services. Those of you who have been partners of StorageCraft for any period of time know and understand the power of our cloud services offering, our purpose-built disaster recovery service in the cloud that allows for full failover of your environment, orchestrated failovers, and again, a lot of flexibility built into that solution to allow you to prepare for ahead of time those disasters as they occur, and when they do, the ability just to go in with a single click and fail those systems over into our cloud as you manage that disaster locally. The other key component of these solutions, and one of the things that we wanted to make sure that we did not lose sight of in developing these new solutions, is the fact that we do have some very reliable, tried and tested components of our solution that have been in the market for years and years now. For those of you who are familiar with our solutions and using our Shadow Protect line of products today, are very familiar with the reliability that comes with our agent-based protection. Our virtual boot for instant recovery that we introduced, gosh, it's probably been 7-8 years now since we've introduced that technology, and the ability to take one of our backup files and very quickly virtualize that backup file and get those systems back online again while you're dealing with that local disaster. You're familiar with our VSS integration, and really that is the component from a reliability standpoint that has helped us kind of develop that reputation for reliability over the years, and that we are very closely tied on Windows systems to that VSS environment and making sure that we're getting those stable state backups, making sure that, for example, on SQL servers, that those transaction logs, things are being purged, and we're capturing those systems in a stable state so that when it comes time to recover, we know that we're going to be able to successfully do that. Again, we wanted to make sure that we preserved all of that core technology that we've become very well known for as we kind of move forward with these new solutions. But at the same time, again, through conversations that we've been having with our partners, we know that there are some pretty key features that as we kind of move forward, that we wanted to make sure that we were also providing at the same time those features that we have been getting requested for some time now. And again, important part of that discussion that we had with our partners as we laid out what this solution was going to look like. Things like SLA-based protection. If you're familiar with Shadow Protect, for example, we're deploying agents, we're having to create backup jobs for each of those agents. We've heard loud and clear from our partners that, especially as we move into larger environments, that can become a little taxing on the resources that our partners have. And so creating SLA-based protection, creating one backup policy across your entire environment, being able to just create that one policy and deploy it or provision it out to multiple machines. We've heard again about our agent and the fact that every time we do an update, we would need to reboot. That has been changed. We heard that again loud and clear from our partners. So as you look at some of these enriched features that we're providing in new solutions, if you're familiar and have been having conversations with StorageCraft, these are the requests that we've been hearing and wanted to make sure that we got those built in. The other thing I think that's really important to note about these new solutions is as good as virtual boot is, and being able to virtualize systems very, very quickly from a recovery standpoint, we've actually been able to build on that and improve on that technology and allowing recoveries now literally in milliseconds, as well as with the new virtual boot, not just having that be a temporary solution while we recover from that disaster, but actually doing virtual boots directly into primary storage in your VMware environment, for example. And in doing that, then moving that data over into that environment so it's all a part of the same recovery solution, as opposed to having to take some of those extra steps that you might be seeing with virtual boot today. As we talked through with our partners what our solutions have been like, one of the things that we heard was that we have multiple consoles that we have to kind of bounce around through to manage. So we wanted to take all of those and converge them into a single management experience and a single dashboard. Again, moving forward, when we talk about the next gen capabilities that we've added to the solution, key component as customers more and more are moving to a fully virtualized environment. The request that we've had is moving away from just strictly an agent-based, but allowing for host-based or agentless protection, which we've added to these solutions. We've leveraged some new technologies with gRPC and microservices that allow us to actually create updates to these solutions in a much more efficient and quick manner that allows us, if we want to add new features to a product, we can very quickly go in, and because we're leveraging microservices as an example, we can go in, add a new feature, do that update without a lot of interruption to your business and to your customers' environments. Again, a unified data protection from a management perspective, all of this being managed through a single dashboard. Everything is tied together, and for us as a company, we wanted to make sure, and you'll see a slide a little bit later, that this management platform that we were developing isn't just for this one solution, but we'll start moving every solution that sits in our product portfolio will all be managed from this single management console. Analytics and reports, another key component. We know that having that information, that data available to you, helps you make intelligent decisions about your storage needs, the needs of your customer, how frequently you're having to do recoveries or backup jobs are failing, having that data available. So we really wanted to just take that core, the core features that we have been building our solutions on for years and years, that have been providing that reliability from a backup and DR perspective, and really build on top of those. And again, I think that development, product management has done a great job of capturing those requirements and then delivering them as a part of this product solution. So we talked about SLA-based. This is what you're seeing. This is the One System Management Console. Again, the goal of product management, which I thought, quite frankly, when we first started having these discussions, was one that they weren't going to be able to accomplish. They really wanted to narrow down just a click count, believe it or not. They wanted to measure the efficiency of this solution by the number of clicks that it took to do the most common tasks. And the number that they selected was 4. They wanted to be able to do a lot of these things within 4 clicks. The more time that you're spending on site from a deployment perspective, again, not taking advantage of the ROI of this solution. And so they really wanted to narrow down and help in a lot of the decision-making process around configuring these backup policies, especially when it comes to doing recoveries, making sure that a lot of the decisions that you would have to make normally as a part of that recovery process, that we're really just going to walk you through just a couple of clicks to make sure that that recovery is going to work, so that as you're in that moment when chaos can ensue from a recovery perspective, that you're not having to do a whole lot of thinking, but you can just walk through the process. It's very streamlined. But again, SLA-based, outcome-driven protection. For those of you that are familiar with Image Manager, that screen there in the top left captures a lot of what you would normally be configuring in Image Manager. The compliance reporting, again, a central dashboard that at a glance you can tell very quickly what is going on in your environment and whether or not you're in a healthy state, if you have backup jobs that are not functioning, as well as you can make sure that you don't have any blind spots. This is a big piece of feedback that we received from a lot of our customers, especially those that have moved into 100% virtual world. New VMs can be being spun up on a daily basis in some cases, and a lot of times the backup admin doesn't know that those VMs are being spun up until something goes wrong and there's some corruption, and a call comes in and says, hey, I have this VM that has failed, I need to do a recovery, and you discover that you've actually not been backing that VM up because you weren't aware that it was provisioned. So part of that dashboard is actually capturing some of those blind spots and making sure that as new VMs come into that environment, that the customer is being alerted that they currently are not part of a backup policy. And a step beyond that, you can actually create a default policy so that any new VM that comes up automatically is being backed up, and there's no effort that needs to be put into configuring that. It will just automatically capture that. But again, we wanted to make sure that from a day-to-day operation standpoint, as well as your configuration, and when the time comes to actually do a recovery, all of that is being done through the same console, and that you're familiar with, so that there's not any second guessing going on as you're working your way through that process. So this is the OneSafe Solo. The hardware specs there, you can see that this is not something that we have taken lightly. We wanted to make sure that this box has all of the processing power necessary to back up, not just 1 or 2 machines, but to actually, protect up to 20 to 30. We've been doing a lot of testing in our own environment and have run this up to, beyond 30 systems that we're backing up through this device. We do know that, in contrast, a lot of our partners are finding that the BDRs that they're either building themselves or are purchasing from another vendor, they're finding that they are lacking in the resources necessary to really back those systems up. And so we wanted to make sure that we were providing the resources necessary to be able to support the smallest to the largest of environments, but at the same time, keeping that a very small footprint within your environment, something that can not take up a lot of rack space. It's just going to be used in almost as a desktop appliance within those environments. So some of the capabilities of the OneSafe Solo, Janine mentioned that this solution really is built on our ShadowSafe product. All of ShadowSafe, the architecture of ShadowSafe is basically there are three main components. One system, which we've talked about, which is where all of the management is taking place. And then you have what's called a service leader. And that service leader is what basically is the traffic cop that directs all of the traffic for this solution. It knows where the backup targets are. It knows when the backups are supposed to be run. If we're doing recoveries, again, it's a part of that process that manages from a recovery what systems we're recovering, where we're recovering them to. All of that is managed through a service leader. And in a standard shadow safe environment, in most cases, that service leader would just be running as a virtual machine in a Hyper-V or VMware environment. But we know that in a lot of cases, we have partners who are dealing with smaller environments that may not have Hyper-V or a VMware system running or infrastructure running in those environments. So what we've done is with Solo, we've taken the service leader capabilities and have dropped those onto this appliance, and then added the additional features of automatic, a call home for claiming that appliance from a deployment standpoint. Makes it really, really easy to deploy. Janine mentioned just a matter of shipping that box to your customer, having them plug it in, and then logging into that hosted one system and claiming that appliance. It will actually call home and wait to be claimed. And then from there, you can start configuring your backup jobs. But again, increased data transfer, auto configuration of the, if you've got internal storage in that, or you add internal storage to that device, or you're leveraging, external USB, all the software is built in to really manage all the processes of, doing your C drives, et cetera. So very powerful, excuse me, very powerful, but again, a very compact device. It's not going to take a whole lot of room. And from a configuration and deployment standpoint, I don't know that I've seen a solution out there today that is easier to deploy and get configured and get these systems that you're responsible for being protected. A couple of example environments. Again, these are all environments that we have been able to test in, that we have customers today who are running Solo in. We mentioned earlier the ability to do direct to cloud. And if you have those environments, those customers that maybe have just one or two machines and aren't as critical, and you want to just replicate those directly to cloud, and if you need to do file recovery or full system recoveries, you have the ability to do that again directly out of the cloud. Environments where you have vCenter, ESXi, Hyper-V, all of these can be protected leveraging a Solo device. And again, in doing that, managing all of that through the hosted one system through StorageCraft. So again, back to that, the notion of flexibility. We're not going to tie you into any certain environments. We're going to allow you to really create a solution specific to your customer and to your customer needs. We talked about the ease of deployment. That has been mentioned a couple of times, but just to walk through how simple this really is. As a partner, you would place an order through distribution. Distribution drop ships that appliance to the customer. The requirement really of the customer is to simply plug the power and the network cable into that box. There's only 2 ports on that box that they would need to plug in, power it on, and once it's powered on, it really is hands off from a customer's perspective at that point. And as the partner, as the MSP, you could then log into one system. That device will call home. You'll log in as a tenant in that environment and claim that device. And once you've claimed that device, now it's just a matter of going in and starting to configure backup policies. And then as you add machines, you'll start getting billed just on a per machine basis. As you add machines, we'll bill you for that machine. As you remove machines from that environment, you'll see that reflected in your bill. And so again, if you've got an environment where you've got a customer that maybe they want to start out slow, they want to just protect, they've just got a couple of critical machines that they want to protect, you can go in and start protecting those. As that environment grows, you can add additional machines. If that customer gets to a point where they've come back to you and said, hey, listen, we're having a little bit of difficulty here. We're seeing a lot of that during this pandemic, for example, that we've got customers, partners who are dealing with customers that are struggling, and they're able to go in and just simply remove some of the machines from that backup. And as they remove them, again, that just gets reflected in that bill. And so they narrow that down to just those main critical machines that they want to make sure are being backed up and back up some of the ones that aren't as critical. And all of that is managed automatically in the background. We talked about one system and the objective or the goal that we have as a company around this one system, central management system, cloud hosted. Again, today, we can, through that system, manage OneSafe Solo. We have a release of our ShadowSafe product that is coming the end of this month that will also be able to be managed through one system. And as we start to continue the development of that management platform, we will be adding our other solutions, our cloud services, cloud backup for Office 365 and G Suite, as well as the ability to manage our storage devices, OneSafe, through that same management platform. So as a StorageCraft partner, every solution that sits in our product portfolio that you're deploying out to your customer sites, you'll be able to manage that through this hosted one system. You'll have the option to deploy a private one system if you choose to do that. Again, we wanted to keep that flexibility in our solutions available to you. If you want to deploy a private one system to manage, you have that option. But in a lot of the partners, a lot of conversations that we've had with partners, this has been a big request that we actually host that on the behalf of a partner so that they can go in and not have to worry about doing the updates. We can do all that automatically and allow you to kind of manage your own environment while we manage the resources that you need to configure and deploy these solutions. Just a quick overview. Again, very, very straightforward, very simple. I'd encourage you to reach out to your StorageCraft account manager, to your sales engineer for a demo. I know that we've got some of these demos scheduled on a weekly basis for ShadowSafe. I'd encourage you to jump in and take a look at the solution and see it in action. But again, the deployment, very straightforward. Drop ship the device to your end user customer. They just simply need to plug it in and power it on. And from there, you can drop into the one system management console, configure your backup policies. If you're backing up to storage, if you're backing up direct to cloud, all that can be configured through one system. And then leveraging that same tool to do your recoveries, whether that's just a simple file recovery or a full system recovery. All of that will be managed through the hosted one system. We talked a little bit about billing, but again, we wanted to make sure that from a billing and invoicing standpoint, that it was just as easy on you as the solution itself is to deploy and manage. So again, once that system is deployed, there's a single license key from an MSP perspective, a single license key that you would claim. And then for each of your customers, as you deploy solo devices and start protecting systems, as those systems are added, we'll start billing you for those systems. As you remove systems from protection, that again will be reflected in your invoice. And we're not forcing you on a specific number of machines. The invoice will reflect exactly what you indicate on the backup policies that are assigned or unassigned. And once you've got all those things configured, from there it's very, very straightforward to be able to manage the billing on behalf of your customers. Each of your invoice is very, very specific to your customer. So the serial number of the solo device that you deployed, the term date, the site name, and the IDs of those machines that are being protected are indicated in that invoice that you would receive from us, so that you can break that out across your customers and be able to make sure that they're being billed appropriately as well. And there is a limitless warranty window. This was another thing that we wanted to make sure that once you've made this investment in StorageCraft, that we made your life a little bit easier from a warranty. It is, again, future-proof. There's no 3 to 5 year warranty. As those systems, if you have a problem with the system, it's just simply create an RMA. We'll overnight a new device, get that thing back and running. We're capturing all of the data necessary so that once that new device is plugged in and powered on, it will pick up where the old one left off. The configuration is preserved, the cloud data is preserved. If you are leveraging internal drive, if you've gone out and purchased an internal drive and dropped it into the Solo device, we want to make sure that that device, this bullet point talks about wiping that device. My recommendation would be that you just pull the device out, pull the disk out. No need to wipe it. Once the new box shows up, you can drop that one back in and just continue on where you're going. And then, of course, included with the Solo device is 24/7 support. That is included in the warranty of the Solo device itself. Okay. With that, Janine, I think we're going to turn this one back over to you. Correct?
Oh, so much good stuff coming from you, Matt. So much good stuff, right? So very excited about ShadowSafe in its own merit, right, in its own right, and then also coupled as the software component for this also new differentiated device-based protection in OneSafe Solo. And what we want to make sure that we urge you to do after spending time with us here is, we spent some time sharing a lot of use cases that can be directly addressed with Solo. And we urge you to take a second, take some time and evaluate what your current, right, and your customer base of tomorrow looks like. Take an inventory of their environment and their protection needs and ask yourself these sort of set of questions that we put forth here, right? And are you able to really meet the demands of your customer while you're bringing them the very best data protection in the industry with your current solution? And if you're not, consider us for, one of the most important pieces of the puzzle for your operational maturity and profitability in your service desk, which is standardization. We felt the need to say, hey, we can do better. And when it came to the current device, device-based protection and appliance-based, protection landscape, we really felt like we could make a difference. So we worked hard. We engaged in a lot of due diligence to bring this differentiated solution to the partner base, literally plug and protect, right? Literally direct to cloud that's powered by the very best in data protection software. So if you want to pop to the next slide, we would be doing ourselves a disservice if you were missed unless we talked about something that you guys are, as all of you listening to us are either manage, right, or automate customers, talked about our integration strategies. That's a big piece of the puzzle when it comes to your PSA. We are very excited to have released, I think, Matt, it was almost over when we first came out with ShadowSafe last year, the updated manage integration to ShadowSafe, right? So you're able to map your clients' licenses, your StorageCraft licenses, right, to your managed customer accounts. You are able to push changes from StorageCraft to manage, either on a synchronized, scheduled basis or a manual basis, as well as client history. But one thing we were able to do is create service ticket integration, right? Really important base foundation of integration with your PSA. You get a notification automatically on your service board when a job fails, and then that automatically closes when the job succeeds, right? So it's two-way, really excited about that. On the automate side, we're still, I believe, finalizing some of the updated integration to ShadowSafe. We should expect that shortly. Is that right, Matt? We're working on the ShadowSafe piece.
Yeah, that is correct. It's coming. Yep.
With the manage update to service ticketing, we're covering a lot of the bases there, right? So the great news is that should be out shortly. The next big piece of the puzzle is obviously while we're all here is we're very lucky to be included on the list of preferred solution providers. Your ConnectWise dedicated sales resource. So if you pop to the next slide, you'll find us on the marketplace, right? Today, you're able to buy our legendary data protection solution, Shadow Protect, as you well know, as well as our offsite backup, our offsite cloud backup solution, which is called Cloud Services. And in the very next couple of weeks, we expect the integration for the marketplace to be done with ShadowSafe and OneSafe Solo. So as Matt alluded to in the presentation, get with either your StorageCraft rep, right, who will work with your ConnectWise rep to make sure you get a demo, a deep dive demo of these solutions, and really optimize not only the one-stop shop appeal of working with ConnectWise and buying StorageCraft, but also the ability to standardize in such an important category. And with that, again, don't forget that we have a couple of ways for us to continue the conversation. There is a dedicated form, Phil, if you'd like to find out more about how to buy Solo, see Solo. We have a couple of great promotions going on specifically with Solo, right? We have a Tribe and Buy program, which allows you to utilize it and manage your customers free for 45 days. Get your hands on this, discover the power, explore the power of Solo, and we'll invoice you on the 46th day. Or you can just pop it back in the box, send it back to us, and no questions asked, right? We also have an NFR program. Our official NFR program is a little bit different than the Tribe and Buy. It's utilized in your own environment, allows your service desk to really get their hands on this little device and the power of it. It is a prepay plus shipping of $9.99, and you get the device plus 3 licenses supported for up to a year. And you can use that in your production environment, right, to sort of create your knowledge base, to create your SMEs. So if you want to participate in any of those promotional programs around Solo, or find out more about ShadowSafe, cloud services, cloud backup, right, which is our file sync and share protection. Am I saying that right, Matt? For Office 365 and G Suite. All of those are sold through ConnectWise, right? Again, a complete, robust set of solutions through StorageCraft. Head over to storagecraft.com/ITN Explore, and don't forget to come see us at our booth to register for our $750 prize pack, our plug and play prize pack. And I think that's all we have. Is that right? Let me see what the next slide is. I think, yes. And we, again, really thank ConnectWise, but we mostly thank you guys, right? We know it's tough right now for you guys to continuously be adapting and making sure that you're able to service your customers in a different way. And we appreciate you taking the time out of your schedules to hear about these solutions that the ConnectWise technology partners are bringing to you, and we very much appreciate you. Matt, thank you so much. Always so fun to have you on the line, and we hope you have a great rest of your event, guys. We're signing off.
Thanks.